Professor Keelrath gestured dismissively at the collection of human survival equipment laid out on the lecture hall table. The Thermal Dynamics and Adaptation course had reached its practical examination phase, and the professor was not impressed. "Primitive," he declared, his crystalline voice echoing through the chamber. "These human tools, axes, saws, drills, require manual labor. They're inefficient on ice worlds where temperatures render most physical work impossible. Our energy-based cutting tools are superior in every way." The 30 cadets, representing 12 species, nodded in agreement. All except one. Marcus Johansson, the human exchange student from Earth's Scandinavian territories, raised his hand. "Professor, with respect, we've been working ice for thousands of years. These tools are specifically designed for—" "Cadet Johansson," Keelrath interrupted, "your species' primitive history is irrelevant to modern survival scenarios. When we arrive at Glacier Prime for field testing, you'll see that technology trumps tradition." 3 days later, the class stood on Glacier Prime's frozen surface, a planet that was essentially one massive ice sheet covering a deep ocean. The temperature was -50 Celsius. Wind howled across the featureless white expanse. "Your assignment," Professor Keelrath announced, "is to establish a sustainable food source. You have 5 days." The cadets immediately deployed their advanced equipment. Vrelians activated plasma cutters to melt through ice. Korthians set up energy-intensive water heaters to create access pools. Zephyrites attempted to use resonance drilling to penetrate the surface. By day 2, problems emerged. The plasma cutters consumed too much power and created unstable ice formations. The water heaters froze immediately upon shutdown. The resonance drills cracked the ice unpredictably, creating dangerous fissures. Marcus, meanwhile, had selected a flat area near a pressure ridge, a sign of underwater current and therefore probable fish activity. He pulled out his ice auger, a deceptively simple spiral drill designed for one purpose. He began drilling by hand. Professor Keelrath watched through observation drones with growing incredulity. The human is using manual labor? In these conditions? His energy expenditure is absurd. But Marcus knew what he was doing. The auger's design, refined over centuries of ice fishing, cut through frozen water with minimal effort. The spiral blade carried ice chips upward automatically. No power source to fail. No complex machinery to freeze. Just human engineering optimized for a single task. Within 20 minutes, Marcus had drilled through 2 meters of ice. Water bubbled up through the hole, dark, cold, and teeming with life. Marcus dropped a simple fishing line with bait he'd prepared from his rations. 5 minutes later, he pulled up a fish. Then another. Then another. By day 3, while other cadets struggled with malfunctioning equipment and dwindling power supplies, Marcus had established 6 fishing holes across the ice field. He'd built a simple windbreak from ice blocks he'd cut with his saw, another, primitive, tool that required no power and never malfunctioned. He'd even begun smoking fish over a small fire, preserving them for long-term storage. Professor Keelrath arrived at Marcus's camp personally, his crystalline form refracting the pale sunlight. Around them, other cadets had begun gathering, drawn by the smell of cooking food and the sight of actual success. "Explain this," Keelrath demanded, gesturing at the fishing holes. Marcus looked up from his latest catch. "Ice fishing, Professor. Humans have been doing this since the last ice age, about 12,000 years. My ancestors in Norway, Sweden, Finland, Russia, Canada, Alaska, anywhere with frozen lakes. We got very good at it." He held up his auger. "This tool is simple because simplicity works. It can't freeze because it has no moving parts except the blade. It can't run out of power because it uses human power, and humans can generate work indefinitely with proper nutrition. It doesn't crack the ice unpredictably because we designed it specifically not to." A Vrelian cadet spoke up. "But the energy expenditure. Is less than you think, Marcus interrupted. This auger uses leverage and efficient design. 20 minutes of work gives me a fishing hole that produces food for days. Your plasma cutter used an hour of battery power and created an unstable hole that refroze immediately. Professor Keelrath examined the fishing holes, the neat stack of preserved fish, the efficient wind shelter. His entire argument about primitive tools was collapsing. You called human tools inefficient, Marcus continued, pulling up another fish. But efficiency isn't about complexity, Professor. It's about matching the tool to the task. Humans didn't develop advanced technology first, we developed reliable technology first. Tools that work in any condition, require minimal maintenance, and don't fail when you need them most. He gestured across the ice field where other cadets' sophisticated equipment lay frozen and useless. Your technology is amazing when it works. Our technology is reliable because it always works. There's a difference. By day 5, Marcus was feeding half the class from his fishing holes. He'd taught several cadets how to use the auger, and they'd established a small fishing camp that could have sustained them indefinitely. Professor Keelrath updated his curriculum that evening. New section, Appropriate Technology. Sometimes simple solutions are superior to complex ones. The ice auger Marcus brought became a permanent fixture in the Academy's Survival Museum. The plaque read, Human Ice Fishing Technology, proof that 12,000 years of design refinement beats fancy gadgets every time. Marcus sent a message home to his grandfather in Norway. They said our fishing gear was primitive. I fed the whole class. Wish you were here to see their faces.